We're chatting again with our friends from Thomas Elder Markets. Andrew Whitelaw, you have been watching what's happening on the grain and canola front. How are you going today?
Yeah, not too bad yourself.
Excellent, thank you. Look, you've got me intrigued at thomaseldermarkets.com.au. Your article about the Frying Scotsman, my son loves his chippies. Are we going to see increases in the prices of fried products?
Look, at the moment we are seeing that vegetable oils have increased quite a lot over the last 12 months. But there's always a lag between the actual price of, say, canola or sunflowers rising and the actual price of, say, vegetable oils at the chip shop. And so that's starting to flow through, and we're starting to see that fish and chippers are starting to pay a little bit more for vegetable oils. And the reality is, though, that the canola and oilseed market in general has actually fallen over the past 2 months. And so what we'll actually start to see is most likely over the next 4 or 5 months, we'll start to see vegetable oils start to fall back down again. So markets are cyclical. They go up and they go down. What we're seeing at the moment is the vegetable oil market from a consumer point of view is pretty high. And that's the big concern.
All right, and so what are we seeing on the grains front as well in terms of our prices? Generally speaking, we seem to have been insulated from the roller coaster on international markets, but we're still trying to push out stuff from last season.
Yeah, so at the moment, globally, the market's staying pretty flat. And there's not a huge amount of activity. World's eyes are still on Ukraine to see what will happen with these the export of grains from there. At the moment, the only ships really leaving Ukraine are ones that have been stranded since February. What we're looking at as well, will people be willing to put new ships into there over the next couple of months? Are they willing to take the risk? So that is the big concern. But the reality is, we've got pricing in Australia is relatively stable, but really the big focus is on what happens with the crop. Is the crop going to continue to be pretty solid, pretty big? There's obviously places in South Australia that are probably the worst in the country, but large parts of the country are looking pretty good. So, it's going to be next 2 months is going to set the crop in Australia, and that's really what the focus is on for us at the moment.
Yeah, I was just looking at canola, just the local markets from what I can see anyway. I know you got your finger much closer to the pulse, but it does seem there's been a sudden pickup in the canola price just in the last week.
Yeah, in the last week, but the overall trend over the past 3 months has been for a downward fall. So the market's lost a lot of strength, and but you will see these sort of rises. But I think largely the market is probably close to its floor, really. Especially when we look at wheat, there's still fundamentally a lot of issues in the wheat market.
And we've seen from the Bureau of Meteorology, they're always cagey with their projections. We do speak to them at around the same program that we talk with you about grains and canola, but they're cagey with their forecast, but it does appear we're looking for a reasonably wet sort of season in terms of moisture in the soils. I guess we really don't know, just like we do in the Northern Hemisphere when we watch them coming out of winter. We don't know for a few months just how good our crop's looking.
Exactly. It always takes a bit of time. Look, but the reality is, I think the majority of people would say that the crop is looking, on a national basis, the crop is looking good. Individually, there's obviously areas of too wet and too dry, but if you look across the entire nation, it's looking pretty good. So we still have a well above average crop at this point.
Yep, so that's a good sign, but I guess you talk about markets, going up and down, supply and demand. What's that going to mean potentially with so much planted in the ground? Are you willing to put your name to a projection of just where we might see the wheat price go, say, in the next 12 months?
Look, I think we might. The one thing I think we might see is the discount to overseas prices rise again if we have a big crop, and that's what we've seen in the last 2 years when we've had big crops. Is the relative value against the rest of the world start to drop? But I still think the reality is we're in a fundamentally reasonably strong marketplace. So prices should overall remain pretty strong compared to the long-term average.
Yeah, it certainly looks that way, and positive news. Andrew Whitelaw from Thomas Elder Markets. People want to catch up with your latest updates. thomaseldermarkets.com.au, the place to go.
No worries. Well, thanks for having me, Ricky.